Blog Talk Radio.
He is the last of his kind. All that remains of a once powerful nation. Some think he is a myth. Some believe he is the chosen one, who will bring balance to a world at war. And some will stop at nothing to destroy him.
Welcome everybody to Moorish Talk Live 100. I'm your host, Abdullah Bey. And tonight, my special guest will be Brother Abdullah Bey. He is the founder and editor-in-chief of the Masonic Gate newspaper. He also have written and authored several books. We're going to have him with us this evening. He's brought something to my attention that I thought we should get out to the general public involving some stuff. It's really unbelievable to me after examining this stuff. It's a unclassified law enforcement sensitive document, intelligence assessment, and I'm not sure if it's coming from the CD. Yeah, Federal Bureau of Investigation from the FBI. And we want to go over this stuff and get this out, get this in your ear, so you can know what's going on inside the country. Because I find this quite amazing that something like this even exists. And I'm still trying to find out why. I mean, what is this? I mean, I talk to brothers and sisters all over the country, and not one single brother or sister have mentioned anything about something like this. This is incredible. But nevertheless, we got some plugs on this stuff. We got an interview where they're going to actually interview the feds, and we can see which way this extremist business is really coming from and what it's all about. We're going to get down into that. But before we do, we're going to go to the commercials, and we'll be right back. So y'all hold on a minute before we go down to the broadcast. We'll be right back.
All right, everybody. Brand new day, brand new start. CTFO is booming today. Get your free website and back office right now. Go to www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's tarhakadebtelimination.org. You know, on February 5th at sundown, we'll be in the year of the pig in 2019. That's right. That's the money year. And it's time for you to go into business for yourself. You've been saying what you're going to do. Now's the time for you to do it. Get your free website and free back office by going to www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. Look to the left. You'll see a little button say CTFO, brand new startup company, the hottest thing going in the country today. Now it's time for you to own your own company. Free back office, free website. Peace. Hello, everybody. This is Tarhaka. My new website is up and visible at www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. All you have to do is subscribe by putting your email address in and send. I rush you my free report That includes what you should know about Big Tobacco and how you get paid. Also, all of our other regular information and links and stuff is there. There's a ton of information that comes along with that free report. Go to www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. Now you can call me 904-303-9061 before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. Okay, everybody, we're back for a minute. As soon as my guests arrive, all he have to do is press 1 on his phone. That will give me an indication that he's in the queue and we're ready to begin. I'm going to go over some stuff here, and as soon as we do, I'm going to bring my brother in so he can give us a breakdown on this stuff here, man, because this is unbelievable. It says here in this unclassified law enforcement sensitive document, U/FOUO, black identity extremists, likely motivated to target law enforcement officers. Man, what is this? It says you law enforcement sensitive, this information marked ULES. And this document is property of the FBI and may be distributed within the federal government and its contractors. U.S. intelligence, law enforcement, public safety or protection officials and individuals with a need to know. Precautions should be taken to ensure this information is stored and destroyed in a manner that pursues unauthorized access. Come on, man. Let me go back over here, and I'm going to open up the phone line here. Area code 215. Brother Abdullah, are you with us?
Peace. Islam, everyone. Tarhaka, thank you for having me on the show, brother. Islam, brother.
You're welcome, man.
Yes, man. It's a pleasure, man. It's been a while since I've been on your show.
On this stuff here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna put it in the broader context. Absolutely, we're gonna address the misrepresentation of the Moorish nationality, Moorish birthright, and Moorish national sovereignty being misrepresented as a sovereign citizen movement, anti-government, and domestic terrorism. This is very, very, very serious. Very serious. Because this negative propaganda, the motive behind this negative propaganda is to discourage Moors, that the Moors who are under the political condition of civil death that is currently classified as black, Negro, colored, African American, Latino, Spanish, Puerto Rican, from being involved in getting involved in the Moorish nationality, to declare the Moorish nationality. So the purpose of the propaganda is to instill fear. So as you know, I'm going to be reissuing my newspaper, Masonic Gate, which I have not put out in about 3 or 4 years. And we're looking to get this out within the next. We're looking to go to press next week. So within the next 2 weeks, we'll be rocking and rolling, because I'll be sending everything to my layout designer at the end of the week, and then we'll be ready to go to press. So I'm very excited about the newspaper. It's called the Masonic Gate. I have I added to the logo. It has the compass and square, the word astronomy above it, the compass and square, and the word geometry below it. And then within the header, what I added was the Moorish fez, the Great Seal Pyramid, and the Moorish flag. And my paper was very, very popular among unconscious Moors, nationalized Moors, Masons who are classified as black, Negro, colored. Very, very popular. I already have distribution set up, put in place. I'll be ready to rock and roll. So I'm very excited to reissue my newspaper, and I'm looking to, not this next issue, but the following issue, I'm going to be writing an open letter to the Attorney General addressing the misrepresentation issue of the Moorish nationality, Moorish birthright, and Moorish national sovereignty as an anti-government. So we're going to be addressing these points to the Attorney General, and I'll be doing that in an open letter, and we can expand that open letter to a petition where I had signatories. And we got CC the open letter to the FBI, head of FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, Donald Trump, and so I'll CC that. Department, the Secretary of Department of the Interior, Secretary of the State, Secretary of Defense. Mm-hmm. So we'll be CCing that. We have to seriously address this. It can't be something that we take lightly, that we address just in one letter. It's going to be an open letter. I'm not doing any closed letters. We're not doing any closed letters. We're going to do an open letter, CC. We're doing petition, where I can thousands of signatories. All right. So this is all we have to. So we got to show that we're unified and that we have support. And so the paper, the new feature article of the 5th issue, which won't be this one, will be the open letter. Mm-hmm. So I'll actually send the actual letter along with the newspaper. And I'm looking to have about over 10,000 signatories by that time. Within the next 3 months, we're going to put out that open letter. I have about over 10,000 signatories to the petition. And then we're going to create another website, and something I just thought about. Create a separate website where we address this, and then we'll have signature people who will sign, to sign the petition. So it has to be a petition. Okay. Absolutely.
Well, now let me ask you this now, because brother, you have been quite busy, man. You have written several books, and would you, for the listening audience, let them know the title of those books and how they can get them? Where did they go to get those books?
Yes, we have. I have Moors and Masonry, which has been out since December 2016. That's a history book. I go into the extensive diplomatic relations between the Moroccan Empire and the European powers from the 15th to the 1800s, during which time we sieged European ships. We held Europeans and captured Europeans by the hundreds of thousands and held them in high ransom. Europeans, France, England, and the Netherlands were paying annual tribute to the Moors. In fact, under George Washington administration, Thomas Jefferson, who was Secretary of State under his administration, Thomas Jefferson wanted to go to war. George Washington wanted to maintain the 300-year customary practice of paying us, Morocco, annual tribute. So this is history. It's been well documented. This history is well documented. A lot of research has been done. You said, well, Abdullah, what do you mean a lot of research has been done? Well, it's not in the general public. I have over 100 books listed in my book, Moors and Masonry. So there's a lot of research, dissertations, theses, books, letters, treaties. A lot of research has been done on this subject matter. It's just not known in the museums and the schools and the history textbooks. This is the buried history. And then I'll have another book that I put out in October called The Masonic Compass and Square and the Connection of Timekeeping and Measurement. I deal with what I do is I explain the measurement tools and astronomical tools and measurement devices misrepresented as symbols. One example you have coming up is, that's one of the most revered and celebrated celebration in Masonry called St. John's Day, St. John the Baptist, which is actually the summer solstice. You have European countries that celebrate the summer solstice, which is called St. John's Day on June 24th, which is actually the summer solstice, which is June 21st. So they have a ritual, the ceremonial ritual. They have the Masons will lay the cornerstone or keystone in the northeast corner. Why northeast? Because the summer solstice sun rises in northeast. Once you set that northeast pillar, then it's easier to locate the winter solstice, all right, and also the equinoctial points, which is the vernal equinox and the summer and the autumnal equinox. This is ancient knowledge. What they call the Coptic cross. You'll see those so-called sunstone circles. There are sunstone circles throughout the world that chart the 4 seasons. You have the 2 pillars of Boaz and Jachin which is what they use, the words that they use in Masonic orders. And those two pillars of Boaz and Jachin actually marks the winter solstice and summer solstice. You have Stonehenge in England that marks the winter solstice and summer solstice. A lot of our brothers who are and sisters who are involved in these orders are not aware of what I'm talking about. They look at the two pillars of Boaz and Jachin as merely a symbol. That's a Masonic lore, Masonic symbol, not knowing the ancient astronomical application and function of those two pillars. So that's an example, and I use that because that's coming up. That's the summer solstice coming up.
Okay.
And then I have a book, another book, Etymology and Vocabulary, where I deal with the prefix rules, suffix rules, the understanding how to build the word. And that book's been out since 2006, but we issued that last week. That's back on the market. And I have another book coming out, How Her Moon and Venus Rules, which is actually chapter 3 of the Masonic Compass and Square and the connection to timekeeping and measurement. And I decided to make it a separate book. What I deal with there is I explain the moon and Venus. And show that the devil, the image that they call the devil, is a distortion of the ancient fertility sacred symbol, the goat. They took Europeans took an ordinary goat, which is ancient symbol of fertility, the moon, the woman in power, and distorted it, made it gory, ugly, and misrepresented it as the devil and the cause of the world's evil. The word sin is a Sumerian name for the moon. So this I go into that. The 5-pointed star that's on the Moorish flag. The origin of the 5-pointed star on the Moorish flag is not the Moorish flag. The origin of the 5-pointed star is in the sky. That represents 584 days cycles of Venus. That's five Earth and Venus conjunction that takes place in 8 Earth years. So that's still 5 points right there. That's the origin. So it's an astronomical pattern, cycle. So I go deep. I go into this. I go into that in that book.
Okay. Now you have more, man, because you got a ton of books.
I have more. I have Moors and Masonry Part 2, which is not out in the market yet. I have my experience of teaching nationality to over 5,000 students in the Canada Public School, which is not on the market yet. We have the commerce and race disguised as human trafficking. That's coming out as well. Etymology, semantics, those books are not on the market yet. All right, those books have not been published, and they're looking to get some of those books out. And I have another one coming out in the summer. Late summer, we have the How Moon and Venus Rules. That'll be next, and the American ? Or United States Citizen. That book's been done for 2 years, and I have to actually get that laid out. That what I do when I explain there is I show the proper application for the name America and the improper application for the name America. As an example, people often hear the term American president. And they'll because of European social engineering, millions of people throughout the world will refer to Donald Trump as the American president. They're all wrong. All those millions of people throughout the world are wrong. They're all wrong. So you were to ask me, Abdullah, say Tarhaka, Abdullah, who is the American president? The answer, Tarhaka, is the office does not exist. No one, Tarhaka. The office does not exist. You said, who is? You didn't ask me to name an American president. You asked me who is the American president. There's no office that exists where there's a natural person that is president of El Salvador. At the same that there's one natural person that's president of El Salvador, Costa Rica, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, Argentina, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Thomas, Jamaica, Haiti. That office doesn't exist. You have president of Haiti, President El Salvador, President, right, those are their American presidents. So you say, so I would ask you to identify the nation state, the American state. What American state you talking about? So there are several. Right, there are several American presidents. There's not one. So I explain. That's an example. Another thing, you'll see that the United States corporation, colonial powers, has been misrepresented as the American government. Now, I will show you. If people examine any coin, any seals, Navy SEAL, Department of Commerce, any letterheads, consulate, United States consulate letterheads, any embassy, you will not see American embassy on any building. There's no sign nowhere in the world where you see the sign on a building, American embassy, American consulate. You will see United States embassy. It reads United States embassy. It doesn't read American embassy. The seal for the Navy SEAL reads United States Navy, not American Navy. Right? See, so they don't because that's the European who's running our Moorish government do not use the name America in official document. I'm talking about by itself. I'm not talking about the term United States of America. I'm talking about the word America by itself, as an American Senate, American House of Representatives, American Congress, American Navy, American Coast Guards. You don't see that. You don't see that configuration. You see United States Coast Guard, United States Navy. So I that's what the book's about. I go in. This is something I've been studying for over 25 years, and I'm looking forward to getting this out. Like I said, the book's been done for 2 years. The guy finally going to get it laid out. So I'm excited about that. Okay. So we're looking at let's say the end of summer with that book.
All right. Well, what is the web address that they can go to?
They can go to moorsandmasonry.org. Moors, MMOORS, the word and Masonry, MASONRY.org. Moorsandmasonry.org.
Okay. Now, I got a plug here because after I got the report, I went over that thing, man, and I was, this is unbelievable. So I went online on YouTube, and I found a video where this sister, and I think she's a state senator or something, but she is having an interview in an open forum with I think he's an FBI agent. He's somebody that's supposed to know. And so I want to, before we run that plug, I want to go over this stuff here because I got a copy of it up, man, and I want to read a segment from this thing that I'm looking at, and it says the FBI assesses it is very likely black identity extremists, BIE, perceptions of police brutality against African Americans spurred an increase in premeditated retaliatory lethal violence against law enforcement and will very likely serve as justification for such violence. The FBI assesses it is very likely this increase began following the 9 August 2014 shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, and the subsequent grand jury November the 14th declined to indict the police officers involved. The FBI assesses it is very likely incidents of alleged police abuse against African Americans since then have continued to feed the resurgence in ideologically motivated violent criminal activity within the BIE movement. The FBI assesses it is very likely some BIEs are influenced by a mix of anti-authoritarianism, Moorish sovereign citizen ideology and BIE ideology. The FBI has high confidence in the assessments based on a history of violence incidents attributed to individuals who acted on behalf of their ideological beliefs, documented in FBI investigations and other law enforcement open source reporting. The FBI makes this judgment with the key assumption the recent incidents are ideologically motivated. Okay. All right. So now you got police killing brothers all across the United States. But if the brothers retaliate, well, it's got to be because of some extreme ideology that they got in their mind. They're not supposed to survive. They're not supposed to, they're just supposed to take this land down and everything is all right. But what I want to do, Brother Abdullah, is I want to run this clip so we can find out what extremists at. I want you to pay very close attention, and the listening audience pay very close attention to what's going on here as far as the extremists, so we can find out who the real extremists are. So I'm going to run this right here in about 5 minutes, and then we'll be back. Y'all hold on.
Here. Between 1956 and 1971, the FBI ran a counterintelligence program named COINTELPRO that was initiated by J. Edgar Hoover. COINTELPRO mainly targeted civil rights leaders such as Martin Luther King, and it's commonly understood that this was an abuse of its surveillance power in a manner to suppress a peaceful movement. So I would like to ask Mr. Chair unanimous consent to enter this report into the record, which is Black Identity Extremists Likely Motivated to Target Law Enforcement Officers. I believe earlier you said you were not familiar with the report. Is that correct?
Well, I haven't read it. I know some of the alleged targeting of officers by
okay, so I would like to know, and I'll ask you about that in a minute. So you are somewhat familiar with it. Who had the power in your department to order a report like this?
I'm not sure how that report got ordered. I don't believe I explicitly approved it or directed it.
Okay, so you haven't necessarily read the report, but you are familiar with the term Black Identity Extremists?
Well, I think so, yes.
So could you tell me what that term means to you? Do you believe that there is a movement of African Americans that identify themselves as Black Identity Extremists, and what does that movement do?
Well, it'd be interesting to see the conclusions of that report. But I'm aware that there are groups that do have an extraordinary commitment to their racial identity, and some have transformed themselves even into violent activists.
Are you aware of white organizations that do this as well? Given that white supremacy is well-documented, well-researched movements such as the neo-Nazis, the Ku Klux Klan, etc., are they white identity extremists?
I didn't follow that question. Please, again.
Is there a term or a report on white identity extremists? You mentioned you were familiar with black people who identify with their racial identity.
Yes, but it's not coming to me at this moment.
Not coming to you?
It's
certainly a group such as the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes, and then the skinhead movements, but there's a racial identity white movements that have been identified for sure.
So has the FBI done a report on white identity extremists that are likely motivated to target law enforcement officers? Is there such
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. Are you aware of a group called the Sovereign Citizens?
I've heard that group, yes.
And I believe that the Sovereign Citizens is primarily a white organization that absolutely has targeted police officers and killed police officers. You're not aware of that?
I'm not aware of all their crimes, but I know they're a group that's known to have violent tendencies.
Could you name an African-American organization that have committed violent acts against police officers? Could you name one today? In this report, they name organizations from 30, 40 years ago, but can you name of one today that has targeted police officers in a violent manner?
I believe I could, but I would want to be to confirm that and submit it to you in writing. But I believe we had, within the last year or so, 4 police officers killed by a group that some have described as extremist.
So what has happened is that there have been a couple of incidents in which African Americans did kill police officers who were not associated with a black organization. And so one, for example, in Baton Rouge was associated with Sovereign Citizens, which is primarily a white group. So you should know that there's a lot of concern in the community, especially from organizations such as Black Lives Matter. By the way, would you consider Black Lives Matter a black identity extremist group?
I'm not able to comment on that. I have not so declared it.
So you should know that a lot of activists around the country are very concerned that we're getting ready to repeat a very sad chapter of our history, where people who are rightfully protesting what they consider to be an injustice in their community, which is their relationship with police officers, are now being targeted and labeled as extremists and are going through periods of surveillance and harassment. And so I would like to know, what is your department going to do to protect the rights of average citizens to protest if they have a concern about police officers?
This department will not unlawfully target people.
So if that's the case, then I would ask that you review this report, Black Identity Extremists Likely Motivated to Target Law Enforcement Officers, because I personally don't believe that any such organizations exist. The organizations that are referred to in this report are organizations from decades ago. And so I would like to know, what will you do to essentially roll back what is listed in this report? Because it's not accurate. Sir?
We will look at the report. I actually would be interested in reading it. But they usually do an excellent job, objective and fair, on those kind of reports.
Okay, well,
time of the gentlewoman has expired.
Okay, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Brother Abdul.
Yes. I sent you that report, Tarhaka. I sent that report last week. Saturday. I came across that report on Saturday. It's called the Black Identity Extremists Likely Motivated to Target Law Enforcement Officer. I came across that report Saturday. I sent it to you then. Okay. I also sent it to you about 30 minutes ago. You have that report in your email. That report you have. Just what I sent it 30 minutes ago. Yeah.
Okay.
It's called Black Identity Extremists Likely Motivated to Target Law Enforcement Officers.
Okay, but now this is what I'm trying to wrap my brain around. Okay, because she asked him if he considered skinheads, neo-Nazis, and the Ku Klux Klan as extremist organizations. He asked her, he didn't understand the question. Could you repeat the question? In other words, I didn't hear that. This is one of the most amazing things that I have come across. I'm not aware of any African American extremist groups anywhere targeting police officers. What is this, man? What, brother, break this down for me, man. Help me.
Well, let me do this, Tarhaka, because we have to. What we want to do is I want to make the audience very aware of Drew Ali's position. See,
all right.
Black, as you know, is a political condition of civil death. So it's very important first that we address that issue. But let me read what Drew Ali's and the divine warning. I'm going to address it this way. In the Moorish literature, Moorish Science of America, Prophet Noah Ali founder, editorial, a divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatment that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to names and principles that deluded slavery. That's black. Names and principles, black, Negro, colored, that deluded slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God of law to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways. That repenting from our sinful ways means declare your Moorish nationality. In order for us to repent from our sinful ways, we must declare our Moorish nationality. All right? And go back to that state of mind of their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine rights as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. Any of our people who are classified as black, Negro, colored, are outlaws or in a political condition of civil death. So first, what we have to do in order for us to make a solid argument, a lawful argument for our people's rights, we must first bring them into the constitutional fold of government. We can't make the argument to the international community that the Europeans are violating our people's rights. We cannot make that argument first. The first argument that we could make is that the United States corporation colonial powers is committing human rights violation by classifying the Moors as black, Negro, colored, African American. We can make that argument. We got to first make that argument. Let me put it on off the ground. In 1790, 4 Moors. It's called the Sundry Free Moors, and sundry means various or diversity. 4 they call 4 ex-slaves: Samuel, Daniel, Hammond, and Francis. After purchasing their freedom and well as their wives' freedom, they petitioned the Court of General Sessions for the clarification of their legal status. They wanted to be assured that any crime to be brought to justice, that they be tried under constitutional law and not under the Negro Act. They would declare that these were Moors and they would be tried under the Constitution of South Carolina and not under the Negro Act. So both the Constitution of South Carolina and the Negro Act was brought, but they were classified. They were tried and protected by the Constitution of South Carolina. So before, remember, they had already purchased their freedom now. So the mere purchasing of their freedom was not enough. The clarification of their legal status. So the issue for our first issue that we need to address about the report, Black Identity Extremists, that our people are not black, that black is a political condition of civil death. We have to let the Attorney General know that we know that the United States is committing human rights violation by classifying our people as black. You have the race and ethnic standards for federal statistics and administrative reporting, statistical policy number 15, adopted by the Office of Management and Budget in 1977. You have black, white, American Indian, Alaska Native, Hispanic, that whole classification, that they're all jobs, hospitals, recreational centers, schools use. They use that classification that was established by the Office of Management Budget going back to Carl Linnaeus, Francois Bernier, and Johann Friedrich Bumbach. What they did was, Francois Bernier was a craniologist in the 1600s. Johann Friedrich Bumbach was a German anthropologist. Carl Linnaeus was a Swedish naturalist. What they did was classify the human family based on 4 constructs: skin tone, hair texture, phenotype means facial structure, and brain size. They're using that classification was used all over the world to subjugate the indigenous and aboriginal people throughout the world. So we have to. So in order for us to have a solid argument grounded in national and international law, we must first make the issue that our people are in a condition of civil death. And that civil death, that's what black is. As you know, black is not an identity, nationality, national origin, consanguinity, descent, ancestry, pedigree of anyone. It is a condition of, it identifies black, not the tribes, black identifies a political condition of a people, a defeated people that's in perpetual civil death. Juali was wise. When I read, Juali was wise. What Juali's position was, and what I read, was that we're in violation, y'all. We're in violation. He said it's a sin for any group of people to violate the free constitution of free national government and claim the names and principles that delude to slavery. The names and principles that delude to slavery is our people being classified as black, Negro, colored. So we have to first address the violation on our part by bringing our people back into the constitutional form of government. We don't want to give credence to black. So we don't want to make the argument that the FBI is violating our people with the surveillance, that they're, violating black people. You can't violate black people. There's no such thing as violating black people's rights. That doesn't exist. That whole paradigm is false. There's no such people. So how can a people more classified as black rights be violated? They have no rights to be violated. They're outside the constitutional form of the government. They have no constitutional treaty protection. Once they brought back into the constitutional form of the government, then they have legal standing to argue that. That's what those four Moors did in their wives in 1790. So I wanted to make the argument there because I don't, at no time do I ever want to give any credence to black. We don't want it to, because we will be in violation. We don't, Tarhaka, we will be in violation of international law. The world will not hear us. If we legitimize black, the world's not going to hear us. Article 90 Nations, the United Nations, the Declaration, Universal Declarations of Human Rights, Article 15. This is what the United States is violating. By race and ethnic standards for federal statistics and administrative reporting, violates the United Nations Universal Declaration, Article 15, Section 1. Article 15, Section 1 reads, everyone has a right to a nationality. Article 15, Section 2 reads, no one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality. Principle 3 of the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of the Child, 1979, every child at birth shall have a right to a name and nationality. The United States, colonial powers, you're violating that. You're committing human rights violation by denying. So the report, because they talk about Moors, national in the report, all right. I mean, they talk about Moors who are classified as black in the report, and they talk about Moors who are nationalized in the report. So you have you have the same people, just like in 1790, you had the Negro Act, Moors classified Negro. Then you have Moors, who were declared a Moorish nationality, where the Constitution of South Carolina applied to them. Same here. You have, in this FBI report, you have same people, Moors classified as black, and Moors who declared their Moorish nationality are in this report, just in this report. So I want to address the report in this context. When I write the Attorney General, I'm going to talk about it in this context. All right?
Okay. Now, the report, you mentioned that the Moors, and then you have the Moorish nationals that are listed in the report. Could you give us that information on
yes.
Out of that?
The report of this stuff comes from two reports. Now I'm going to look at. First look at here. The Regional Organized Crime Information Center, the one I sent you a couple weeks ago, last week. The Regional Organized Crime Information Center Special Report, Research Report. On the front page, this is It has Moorish Nation, Sovereign Citizen Movement. So I'm going to explain what the Moorish Nation is later. Now, so we have the Moorish Nation, Sovereign Citizen Movement. Now I'm going to go to the last page of the report. BGA, Bureau of Justice Assistance, U.S. Department of Justice. This publication was supported by grant number 2008-RS-CX-K005, awarded by the Bureau of Justice Assistance, Office of Justice Programs, U.S. Department of Justice. The Office of Justice Program also coordinates the activities of the Bureau of Justice Statistics, the National Institute of Justice, the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency, and the Office for Victims of Crime. This document was prepared under the leadership, guidance, and funding of the Bureau of Justice Assistance, BGA, Office of Justice Programs, U.S. Department of Justice, in collaboration with the Regional Organized Crime Information Authors Center. The opinions, findings, and conclusions or recommendations expressed in this document are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official position or policy of the U.S. Department of Justice. So when I write the Attorney General, I'm going to write the Attorney General in detail, all right? Now, question, by what authority did the Regional Organized Crime Information Center have to disseminate this report to all these police departments throughout the country? By what authority? Remember, they trying to give this BS disclaimer that the opinions, findings, conclusions, and recommendations are expressed in this document are those of the organization and not necessarily of the Justice Department. However, it was done with the funding, under leadership, guidance, and funding of the Bureau of Justice Assistance, in collaboration with the Office of Justice Program and U.S. Department of Justice. So what do you mean you don't have any responsibility about this report? So this is bogus. So we're definitely going to address that. Now, in the FBI intelligence assessed in the black identity extremists likely motivated to target law enforcement officers, what I sent you, on page 5, it reads, Moorish sovereign citizens are a loose network of mostly African Americans who believe they are sovereign entities who do not recognize the authority of the U.S. government. That's page 5. Page 6. BIE, the black identity extremists, violence has been rare over the past 20 years, and there is sparse evidence of any convergence with sovereign citizen extremists who adhere to Moorish beliefs, who have historically engaged in nonviolent, fraudulent schemes, including publications of fraudulent personal identification documents such as an international motorist certification, passports, vehicle titles and registration, and birth certificates in support of their claims of sovereignty. So let's clarify what the Moorish Nation is, because in this report, the Regional Organized Crime Information Center defines the Moorish Nation as a group, as a sovereign citizen organization. I want the listeners to be clear on what the Moorish Nation actually is. The Moorish Nation is the actual nation that's headed by Donald Trump, that's being run by the United States Colonial Corporation in a trusteeship capacity. That's what the Moorish Nation is. So I would ask the audience, who is the head of the Moorish Nation? The answer is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the head of the Moorish Nation. Donald Trump wears 2 headdresses. He wears a Moorish fez and a pilgrim hat. Donald Trump is president of the United States. He is also the acting Grand Vizier of the Moorish nation. So you have a corporation, i.e. United States, that is running a nation. What is the nation? The Moorish nation. You have these Europeans. You have the Shriners, the ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the Mixture Shrine. There's 206 shrine temples throughout the world. Each shrine temple has a Moorish name. So they use Moorish names for their shrine temples. You have 150 grotto temples throughout the country. The mystic order of the Veiled Prophets of the Enchanted Realm, established in Hamilton, New York, in 1850. The Shrine Ancient Arabic Order was established in 1871 by Walter Fleming. So these Europeans are wearing our Moorish fezzes. So the whole issue is that so this report, let's not take it back to the COINTELPRO. Let's take it further back. Let's take it beyond COINTELPRO in the 50s, because they'll lead us to the 50s as if that's the let's go to the Inquisition against the Moors. This is a continuation. The COINTELPRO, launched in the 19 by J. Edward Hoover in the 50s, is actually a continuation of the Inquisition against the Moors. In 14, as you know, the Moors ruled Europe for over 800 years. There's a book called The Moorish Empire in Europe by S.P. Scott, volumes 1, 2, and 3. The Moorish Empire in Europe by S.P. Scott. And also you have J. Rogers' book, Nature Knows No Color Line, the Negro as Moor in European Aristocratic Families. He shows in chapter 6 of his book the coat of arms of European aristocratic families, Moors in the crest and coat of arms of European aristocratic families. So that goes about the Moorish bloodline throughout Europe. So this is the missing link here, and so in 1095, the Europeans united their forces and launched the first crusade against us. In 1095, you have the establishment of knight orders, the Knights Templar. In the early 1100s, you have the Knights Templar, you have the Knights of St. Stephen's in 1535, you have the Knights of Calatrava, you have the Knights of Malta. So you have these knight orders. Today, these knight orders, exist as some charity organization, but their origin are military orders that was established to fight against the Moors. So from 1095 to 1235, the Moors. After 1235, we only had control of one kingdom, Granada, which we were able to maintain until 1492. And on November 25th, 1492, Boladel, Abdul, was the last Moorish king of Europe. He signed the Treaty of Granada, surrendering Moorish sovereignty to Spain. Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand in 1469 united their forces against the Moors, united their kingdom when they married, and that gave them enough political power and economic power to finally lay us the final blow in 1492. And from 1492 to 1630, they launched the Inquisition against us. The Inquisition continues. The Inquisition, and that Inquisition the Treaty of Granada, going back to the Treaty of Granada, the agreement was that the Moors will be able to allowed to practice the culture. You have their names, continue to have to wear their fezzes and turbans and speak the language. All right. Now you have Philip II. He in 1526 he wanted to push harsh measures. He really wanted to, because he didn't want an uprising. You had where we were uprising, and uniting, and so they had to get us out of Cordova and Seville and Milan, and Granada, and so this was so that we would not rise again. So it was Philip II that issued the very harsh bull. That was 1567 was when the Moors were classified as Spanish, and So in classifying the Moors as Spanish, and that Spanish bulla, they forbade the Moors from wearing their Moorish turbans and fezzes, using their Moorish titles and names. The Moorish children were taken from the Moors and were educated by the clergy and taught Latin. We spoke Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
We say we got to be clear on this. Moors who classified as Spanish, their native tongue is not Spanish. Moors who classified as black native color, their native tongue is not English. So we share this common history and common language. And they're Arabic. Moors classified as Spanish, their native tongue is Arabic. Moors classified as black, their native tongue is Arabic. We function on this false history. Moors classified as black nigger color was transported by the Spanish and the Portuguese and the French and the English and the Dutch. Over 12 million were transported in the hulls of ships. Brought over here in North and Central South America. False history. Moors who classified as Spanish, Latino, Puerto Rican, they came from Spain, and they're different races. Yeah, the blacks and the Spanish, different races. False. That's a false paradigm. What that does, it gives the European colonial power more strength, because that's a divide and conquer. You have the people with the same pedigree, same origin, same native tongue, thinking they're different people. That is very powerful. Very, very, very powerful. That is a very powerful social divide. That is social engineering at its core. To have a people thinking they're different. That's very powerful. So this is the Inquisition against the Moors. So this report, that's because what I'm doing, Tarhaka, is placing this report in a broader historical context, not starting with J. Edgar Hoover. It's a continuation of the Inquisition against the Moors. Moors were tortured, and this is a torturing act. This negative propaganda took place where you had Moors who were, where the word witch was given a negative connotation. So Moorish women who were dealing with herbs and who were herbalists and farming, crystals, they were classified as witches, and witches not something negative. They gave the word witch a negative connotation, and they were burnt at the stake. So this is a continuation of that. We can't separate these reports from the Inquisition. We have to call this an Inquisition. This is a continuation of the Inquisition. So we have to place it in that context of that history, and not separate it as that's something different. Absolutely not. They know, the European colonists know what they're doing, but we cannot legitimize black. We cannot make the argument that the Europeans are violating our people's rights. We cannot make that argument. We have to first, the right that they're violating is that they're being classified as black, nickel color. We have to first do that. We have to make that argument. That's a violation. The United States is violating the United Nations, Article 15, Section 1 and 2 of the United Nations Human Rights Proclamation, and Article 3, Principle 3 of the United Nations Declaration of Power. That's what the United States is violating. We have to first bring that violation to life. Then once you, as Juali said, once we bring them back to the Constitution for the government, then we can talk about land rights, right to travel, right to own property. Then you talk about those things. But unless you address the status issue, don't start talking about some about these other things. They had no standing. So the key is we must have standing. Our people are in a perpetual condition of civil death. That's what black is. Black identifies the social, political condition of a defeated people and not the identity of the people.
Well, that is in my opinion, that's a crime that to label someone as such is a crime.
Absolutely.
Genocide and treason. And when you allow somebody to put that on some documentation and you don't sue, you're going along with it, I always examine every document, looking for it on there somewhere, and I don't find it. But I know that they're still doing it, and people should be aware that any time you get a hold of something like that, you need to go ahead and take care of that immediately. I'm gonna take a little quick break, Brother Abdullah. When we come back, we'll be going back in. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Y'all hold on, Mo. We be right.
It's kind of like what your boy Stevie said. 1492, you came up on these shores. 700 years, educated by the Moors. What up, y'all? It's your boy Home Team here. I'm back at it with another video of African history, culture, and worldview. Today, I want to talk about one of the greatest days in African history. Now, we all have a tendency to view the Moors as some sort of continuous dynastic rule that spanned the Middle East, North Africa, and Europe. But the Moorish Empire had different factions and periods that are layered in complexity. In fact, I personally wouldn't call it the Moorish Empire because they were separated and ruled by different caliphates with differing religious affiliations within Islam itself. They sometimes didn't even get along with each other. That's why you had different caliphates and Moorish states that actually attacked each other. Now, when talking about the ethnic persuasion of the Moors, people get into heated debates. Some say the Moors were black, some say they were Arabs, but the overwhelming truth is, it really depends on which caliphate you're talking about. Now, the caliphate in the east was a mixture of Arabs and black African Muslims, and even half Arab and half black Muslims. There were also many Berbers that were involved as well, the Berbers being mixed themselves. But the caliphates in the west, the ones responsible for the conquest of Spain for over 500 plus years, was overwhelmingly black African, consisting of Africans from the north and the west. Now, Europeans made it very clear what they meant by Moor. Yes, they were aware of non-black African Moors. But when they got in a battle with Moors, apparently all they saw was a sea of black faces. When the Spanish king Alfonso V spoke of the Moorish conquest of Spain, he said, and I quote, "All the Moorish soldiers were dressed in silk and black wool that had been forcibly acquired. Their black faces were like pitch, and the most handsome of them was as black as a cooking pan." Now, we can clearly see that black Africans made a lasting impression on these Europeans because they immediately associate the Moors with black. Let's just use some common sense here. The closest people to Spain in general are Africans, so it would only make sense that the Moors contingent would consist of black Africans, at least a majority black. Now, the initial conquest of Spain was a combination of Arab and black Muslims, some scholars believing it was mostly black due to the recruitment of Africans in the interior. Now, after the initial conquest, it just went all downhill from there for Spain because it got blacker and blacker. The invasion pretty much started like this. There was a nobleman named Julian who sent his daughter to King Roderick to be educated, and your boy Roderick ended up raping her. Julian, of course, upset by this, wanted to get revenge. So he goes to Africa and he literally tells the Africans that Spain is weak, and if you wanted to conquer it, it would be easy work. So the Moors were just like, oh, word? And just like Julian said, the Moors went up into Spain and conquered it relatively easy. Pause. So because your daughter got raped, you're willing to allow millions of people to die and let a whole nation of people get conquered and dominated for 500 years? Yeah, anyway, after the Moors dominated Spain, of course the Spanish tried to fight back. And Alfonso had some success against the Moors in Spain, even pushing the Moors back further south. But then the Moors asked for help from the Almoravids. Now, if the Moors weren't black enough for you, here's where it gets really black. Now, the Almoravid dynasty originated in West Africa and the Senegal region. You don't really get much blacker than Senegal. Now, the Almoravid Empire was pretty much split up into two major sections. The Southern Confederacy was ruled by Abu Bakr in the south, and the northern part was ruled by his cousin, Yusuf ibn Tashfin. Now, Yusuf was described as being brown-skinned with woolly hair, and he was even the founder of the Moroccan city of Marrakesh. Yusuf went up into Spain with his army of Africans and had a very special cavalry unit that was specifically from Senegal. Apparently they were a beast. His army even used drums to intimidate the enemy. He went up into Spain and defeated Alfonso VI in the Battle of Zaleka. Now get this, Zaleka literally means slippery ground, because the warriors were slipping all over the place because of the amount of bloodshed that was spilled that day. Wow. Yusuf checked the Spanish advance and solidified Moorish rule in the area. Now, the Almoravids seemed to be very conservative when it came to Islam. So while Yusuf was in Spain, he saw that the Moors there were pretty relaxed and just kind of chilling. So he was just like, I'm going to have to reconquer this place. And he did. And that's pretty much how the Almoravid dynasty started. He was considered the caliph or the ruler of the entire western section of the Moorish Empire. Now, when we look at Moorish Spain, we only tend to see pictures of black men that ruled in that area and who were involved in day-to-day activities in Moorish Spanish life. Now, Yusuf definitely relied heavily on black Africans from the interior to make up his army, and apparently he was aware of this imbalance. So he brought in a vast number of black females to use as domestics and even concubines. I guess he really liked the home team. The situation in Spain was the complete opposite of how it was in the New World concerning slavery. In fact, most indigenous Europeans were either slaves or serfs. Now, after some time, the Almoravids began to chill a little bit, and they even aligned with other Christian groups. And that's when the Almohads began to take over. In my opinion, the greatest Moorish leader came from the Almohads. His name was Yaqub al-Mansur. His name literally means the invincible, because he defeated all his enemies and never lost a battle. Now, his mother was a black African from Senegal or Mali, and his father was half black and half Arab. So that makes him just as black as any African American walking the streets of DC today. Yeah. Now, Mansur came to the throne after his father was killed in Portugal. That was the worst thing the Portuguese could have ever done, because Mansur swore revenge. Mansur returned to Portugal and devastated Portuguese cities and even destroyed Spanish cities as well. He then proceeded to take 3,000 captives back to Africa, most of them women and children. Now, while Mansur was in Africa, the Spanish got brave and decided to attack the Moors again, this time with the help of crusaders from England. So Mansur returned to Spain, defeated the European coalition, chained up the Spanish with their allies, and sold them into slavery in Africa. Talk about paradigm shift. Now, Mansur returned to Africa, and the Christians got excited, and they attacked the Moors again. This European coalition was the largest Christian army ever assembled between the Moorish and Spanish interaction. He really needs to stop going back to Africa. Mansur devastatingly defeats the Spanish and their allies and strips them of many valuables and goods. So after that, the Spanish pretty much chilled out for several years. Now, it's said that the only reason Mansur didn't continue his campaign was because he actually lost interest in Spain. And on top of that, he became very ill. Now, scholars are convinced that the Moors took Europeans out of the Dark Ages. At this time, most of Europe was illiterate, and it was even considered a sin to take a bath. Not only did the Moors bring architecture, science, and knowledge into Spain, but they built large baths all over Spain. In fact, Mansur is known for his therapeutic hot springs. The legacy of the Moors is epic and endless. Even today, you'll find countless images of Africans in Spain representing the Moorish conquest. The only reason why Christopher Columbus was able to sail to the New World is because Spain just acquired their freedom from the Moors in 1492. You're probably not going to find that in public school history books. But y'all know what's up. It's your boy Home Team. Know thyself. Remember your ancestors. Peace.
Going off the rail, and you can't come back again. And you start breaking down in the pouring rain. Oh, you've been on a fast train, on a fast train, and your lover has gone away. Don't it make you feel sad? And you're going on a journey way into the land, and you start breaking down, 'cause you're under strain, and you're jumping on, yes, you're jumping on a fast train, jumping on a fast train. Gotta go on the land, stuck in no man's land. Ain't nobody here on your way back. Ain't nobody gonna lend you a helping hand. And you start breaking down, and you go to the sound, but you hear that fast train. Ooh, fast train. The sound of the wheel, oh, deep down in your heart, do you really know how you feel? Then you start breaking down, going to the pain. Keep on moving on a fast train, moving on a fast train. Well, way over the land. Next thing you're out of your mind, and you're out of your depth, and through the window she crept. Oh, there's nowhere to go in the sleet and snow. Just keep on moving, ooh, on the fast train, moving on the fast train. You got to go on the land, stuck in no man's land. Ain't nobody on your way, man, gonna lend you a helping hand. And you ought to know, can you really make it on your own? Keep on moving on the fast train, or you go nowhere more. How long can it last? Keep on moving. Keep on moving on the fast train. Go to the desert and the burning sand, all of the birds and the bush wasteland. Keep on moving. Cross the desert and sand, to the bare wasteland. somebody lend a helping hand. I can't understand. Going through this wasteland land. I'm a crazy man. Lord, help me on the bad street. Bad street. Bad street. Keep on moving. On the bad street. Going nowhere.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Our special guest is Brother Abdullah Bey. He is the founder and editor-in-chief of the Masonic Gate newspaper, and we are dealing with a special report that came out, and Brother dropped it down, and we thought it was best that we put this information out so we can deal with the foundation of this stuff and bring everybody up to speed so we can know what we're facing. Status is very, very important, and the brothers laid it out for us. And everybody on the planet got a nationality, but for some reason our people seem to not want to acknowledge this thing. And so we're going to try to lay this stuff out here. Brother Abdullah, you back with me?
Yes, I am. Yes, okay. I am. Now and go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Yeah, in both reports, in the Regional Organized Crime Information Center Special Research Report and the Black Identity Extremists Likely Motivated to Target Law Enforcement Officers report, you have here, I'm going to quote, I quoted this already, we have reference to fraudulent, production of fraudulent personal identification documents. So let's address that. Now,
okay.
Since Juali, the Moorish Science Temple has been issuing Moorish nationality cards. You also have other Moorish body politics who have been issuing Moorish nationality cards to Moors who have become conscious of their Moorish nationality and have publicly declared their Moorish nationality. Now, what I will address or ask the Attorney General is because, as you know, we have a right to self-government. And, let's go back to the race and ethnic standards. The race and ethnic standards for federal statistics and administrative reporting. The United States corporation does not have any policy or any office, any department that nationalizes Moors. There's no text, there's no teachings, there's no textbooks, there's no classes on teaching the defeated Moors. I'm not talking about classes by nationalized Moors. I'm not talking about classes that Tajiri Bey's been doing, that I've been doing. I'm not talking about classes by the United States corporation. In the schools, there's no section of any textbooks, history textbooks or civic textbooks, civic classes, any programs that teaches the defeated Moors, the denationalized Moors, their nationality. The race and ethnic standards for federal statistics and administrative reporting, adopted by the Office of Management and Budget in 1977, violates the United Nations Human Rights Proclamation, Article 15, Section 1, and Article 15, Section 2, and the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of the Child, Principle 3. So that's in violation of that. So the driver license is not a nationality card. The driver license is not a Moorish nationality card. All right. So there's no the activity of where the United States corporation teaches the Moors that they're Moors and nationalize them. So you have this propaganda from the FBI, all right? You have this regional organized crime center, in conjunction with the collaboration funded by and under the leadership of the Justice Department that classifies Moorish nationality cards as fraudulent personal identification. They will classify driver license as legitimate, but Moorish nationality cards as fraudulent personal identification. So I'll be addressing. I'll be addressing these issues in detail with the Attorney General. What say you, Attorney General? Because we have a right, as Article 15, Section 1 and 2, doesn't give us that right. It acknowledges a pre-existing right. We have a right to our name and nationality. Black is not a nationality, Attorney General. Black is a political condition, as you're aware, Attorney General, that black is a political condition of social civil death that's been applied, that's been put on where by defeated Moors. The race and ethnic standards has one of the classifications that's in the race and ethnic standards that's used by all schools, all hospitals, all jobs. Black is one of the classifications and the definition for that. So in the census, 1970, 1980, 1990, 2000, 2010, and 2020 census, there's no more section. There's no, where we check more off. So where is the effort on the United States part to bring us back into the constitutional form of government? I've seen every effort on their part to violate the United Nations Proclamation, Article 15, Section 1 and 2. So who's in violation? The United States corporation is in violation of that's committing human rights and genocide against our people. But we have to articulate it. We have to clearly articulate our position. We need our own press. We need our own venues to clearly articulate our position. Because they're using this propaganda of the Moors being some organization, some anti-government domestic terrorist organization. And that they're putting out fraudulent identification, and there's another claim, false claim that's made. You have here that's in the Regional Organized Crime Information Center report, special research report. By claiming a Moorish nationality, this is in the report. By claiming a Moorish nationality, members allegedly claim immunity from federal and state laws. All right. Okay. By claiming a Moorish nationality, members allegedly claim immunity from federal and state laws. That is a false claim, false position. By declaring
this is in the
our
report.
Moorish nationality, it brings us back into the constitutional fold of government. Let me reread this, Tarhaka. It's very important.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to Juali. A divine warning by the prophet. I'm going to reread this because since I'm addressing the nationality, the fraudulent, the fraudulent claim by the FBI that the Moorish nationality cards is a fraudulent identification, personal identification. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, and are all one free family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizen carries to bestow upon them. That's black. The name the inferior name is black, nickel colored. That's the inferior name, Attorney General. That's the inferior name, black, nickel colored. So we have our Moorish declaration paperwork, all right, where we are publicly declaring our Moorish nationality and our Moorish public declaration of our name and nationality, and we have our Moorish nationality card that you're calling fraudulent. What effort have you made? What effort has the United States made to bring the defeated Moors back into the law, back into the family of nations? The United States has made every effort to continue to perpetuate civil death among the defeated Moors. Every effort. There's no as I said, we have 200 years of history textbooks, 200 years of history and civic textbooks. In the 200 years of history and civic textbooks that's been used in all these schools, there's no one page that teaches the Moors about their Moorish nationality and birthright. There's no agency that is set up to where Moors can go to any agency under United States colonial control. That means the Moorish government, they're using Moorish government, having control of our Moorish government and our Moorish national sovereignty, and they have these agencies that they can control that we cannot go to and then say, well, I want to declare my Moorish nationality. I want to declare my Moorish nationality. Where's the Moorish people to declare my Moorish nationality? That doesn't exist. That exists among the Moorish science temples. That exists among Moorish body politics. So this propaganda is referring to those Moorish body politics as anti-government, domestic terrorist organizations. We have to clarify this. We have to clearly articulate. I trust that I am clearly articulating our position.
Okay. No,
I'll hear the floor for questions.
All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question, press 1 on your phone and raise your hand. If you have a question for our guest, Brother Abdullah, the number to dial into the show is 310-982-4184. Press 1 on your phone. That'll give us an indication that you have something to say, and we'll open up the phone line so you can tell us what's on your mind. Now, Brother Abdullah, now, in your opinion, the severity of what you're talking about is how severe is this thing at this late hour inside the United States involving the Moors?
Well, let me first clarify that it because we want the audience to be clear that United States is not the name of the land. United States has no miles, no highways, no mountains, no lakes, no ocean, no rivers, no longitude, latitude lines. The United States is on paper only. You can't go to the United States. It's not a physical geography. This is Morocco. United States colonial corporate power is colonizing and occupying the land of the Moors, Morocco. So we are in Morocco. Donald Trump was born in Morocco. Hillary Clinton was born in Morocco. Ronald Reagan, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Tom Jay, Paine, they were born in Morocco. They were not born in the United States. They were born in Morocco. I'm just using that example to make sure my point is articulated clearly. Okay. Because as long as we continue to perpetuate European social engineering, we give them power. By saying like that we're in the United States, as if the United States is a physical geography. We're in Morocco. I was born, you were born, we were born in Morocco. Descendants of European settlers were born in Morocco. Donald Trump, as I said before, was born in Morocco. He was not born in the United States. The United States is on paper. On paper, it's a fiction. On paper, it's not the name of the land. So we want to be very clear to articulate that. And in addressing the Attorney General, I will making these points very clearly in addressing the Attorney General. The attorney, they're not stupid. It would not be good for us to take the position that they don't know. They don't know. Attorney General don't know. Donald Trump don't know. No. They're not wearing our more defensive weapon for nothing. They do know. And we're not going to let them play us as if we're out to lunch, because they're playing us that we're out to lunch, that we're domestic terrorists, we're anti-government. They're playing us that. They're using that propaganda, and that is very dangerous. I'm taking this very seriously, very seriously. I will not rest. We're taking this very seriously. We should address this. We should have addressed this years ago. I wasn't going to put the paper out until I put out the how her moon and Venus rules, and that was about 3 months from now. All right, but I thought it necessary to put it out immediately. So we're looking at within the next week and a half to get this paper out. And then, so we have to seriously address these issues, because that misrepresentation instills fear and will cause our lives to be taken, because they put that propaganda. That first thing they do, propaganda. Moors don't respect law. Moors think they're above federal and state law. Moors kill cops. Moors, think they don't violate law. Moors, Moors think they're not part of the government type thing. Because, the United States is not the government. The name of this government is Morocco. The United States is the corporation that's running the government, which is Morocco. The United States exercises Moorish sovereignty. So when the United States sets up consulates and embassies throughout the world, they're doing it and exercising Moorish sovereignty. The United States corporation usurp Moorish sovereignty, just like you have a king on the throne. So a king is his power, his throne. He's removed from his throne. Well, the throne still belongs to the king. The king could be in exile for 10 years, and then would have a substitute on the throne. That throne still belongs to the king. The king is heir apparent to the throne. So even though the king is not sitting on the throne, that king would be the rightful heir to the throne. So though we're not in those seats, we are the rightful heir to those seats. Those seats, let me articulate clearly. Those 535 seats in Congress, 100 Senate seats, and 435 seats, 100 Moorish seats, 100 Moorish Senate seats, 435 Moorish House of Representatives seats. You see what I'm doing? Making a connection. 9 Moorish Supreme Court seats. The Moorish Imperial Divan. So the Moorish Imperial Divan is currently called the Presidential Cabinet. That's the Moorish Imperial Divan. The Europeans substituted. They didn't establish this structure. They usurped it and substituted names. They substituted secretary for wazir. So they are acting wazirs, and they use the word secretary, Senate. So secretary, there's wazirs. You have Donald Trump is the Grand Wazir. He functions the office of the Moorish Grand Wazir. Donald Trump appoints or nominates wazirs they call secretaries. And they are those wazirs, those substitute wazirs, secretaries, are confirmed by the Senate. Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Homeland Security, Secretary of Housing and Development. Those secretaries are acting wazirs. So they simply took over our government. That's what the Moorish nation is. That's why I keep saying that Donald Trump is the head of the Moorish nation. I want Moors, and to be very clear on that, we cannot see the Moorish nation as some organization. We must see the Moorish nation as the actual nation that's being headed by Donald Trump. That's what the Moorish nation is. It's not some religious group, not some sovereign citizen group, not some group that's some organization established by Noble Ali in 1913. No, the Moorish nation was not established by Noble Ali. That is incorrect. The Moorish nation which existed long before Noah Ali. The Moorish nation was usurped and colonized by Spain, France, Portugal, England, the Netherlands. So you're looking at the Moorish nation first being colonized by the Portuguese and Spanish in the late 1400s after 1492. 1492 was once again the Treaty of Granada, November 25th, 1492. They were not able to move, colonize, expand their colonization. When did the Europeans expand European colonization? After 1492. And even then, because we were still in power, we were not totally defeated. We did lose control of Europe. We lost control of Europe, but we had control of the seas. And we still had control of modern-day India. In 1492, the Moors still had control of modern-day India. We didn't lose control of modern-day India until 1763, when the British took over. The Order of Christ, you had the Prince Henry, the Navigator, was a member of the Order of Christ. The Order of Christ, along with the Knights Templar, the Order of Christ is actually the extension of the Knights Templar. The Order of Christ and the Knights Templar defeated the Moors and gained control, and proceeded the Moors in Portugal and gained control of Portugal. It was the Europeans took over the spice trade and extensive silk trade from the Moors. This is how the Europeans were able to gain control of the trade. In the textbooks, all they tell you in the textbooks, see, it gives you a distortion in the textbooks, in the history textbooks. You learn the age of exploration. So they'll talk about these European explorers in the textbooks. What they're talking about, what they write about, is when they took over the trade from the Moors. They don't write that they took over the trade from the Moors, but the time period that they write is when they took over the trade from the Moors. Look at the times. After 1492, it's when they took over the spice trade from the Moors. But they leave us out. So it appears that they just came. No, absolutely not. They didn't just come over here and start doing exploration. They were fighting us as they launched the First Crusade in 1095. That's First Crusade, Second Crusade, Third Crusade, Fourth Crusade. In 1235 was that part where we only had control of Granada. So the Crusade and Inquisition continued. These reports from the FBI, especially, is the continuation of the Inquisition and Crusades against the Moors. Our problem is, as a people, we don't know the history. We're operating on a false history. That slave trade bull crap history. And we base our insight on our analysis and draw conclusions on the false history. So we don't make the connection. And so we're not making the connection to these night orders that exist, thinking that they're merely night organizations, brotherhood organization. No. The Europeans are maintaining the occupation. They don't have to, meaning we're not fighting back. We're not like where we had power, we killed them, they killed us, we were on horseback. They just totally defeated us. So they're maintaining. So these organizations are in place. They're well funded. You have the order of Saint Stephen's. The Knights of Saint Stephen established in 1535. The 1535 was that order established by Fernando I of Tuscany. He established the Order of St. Stephen's to fight against the Moors. A battle in 1535 where the Moors defeated that night order, and able to capture 10,000 Europeans. we're not operating on this history. We're thinking that, you know, that Europe, that Spain and Portugal and France and England went over to the continent of Africa and dragged us out. That we were not even, that we see what they did was let's analyze that. Analyze that.
Mm-hmm.
That what is they saying? What are they trying to put out there? That we were weak. That we were weak. They don't want us to know that we fought them. They don't want these young brothers to know the history that we fought them. They don't want that history out, that I'm putting out, that we actually fought them, killed them, held them in captivity. They were paying us. They don't want to know. They don't want us to know that we had power over them. So they write that distort the history. Oh, let's make them weak. That's right now. Remember, they're conspiring now. They're conspiring. How are we going to write this history? You're talking about a very powerful people, military people, you know, that we fought and they captured us. We got to write that they were weak. We can't let them know their power. We can't let them know that they once were power. We can't let them know that they subjugated us. We can't let them know that we were paying them annual tribute. We can't let them know that. We can't let them know that they ruled Europe for 800 years. We can't let them know that they ruled modern-day India for 1,000 years. We can't let them know that. We can't let them know they ruled North Africa and West Africa. We can't let them know that they control the spice and silk trade. We can't let them know that. Right? So that, you know, yeah, they were we gotta make them docile in history. We gotta write that they were docile. You know, we just went over there and, you know, Africa, and we just dragged them up. We got to write that they were docile people, which is the very opposite of what we were.
Okay.
This report these reports are designed to maintain our subjugation. They know who we are. So they got to put out this negative thing. So when you see a lot of they see a lot of activity now. You have a lot of Moors who are becoming conscious. So what they going to do? Oh, man, they're becoming conscious. Oh, shucks. Man, we got to put out this negative propaganda. Yeah, the Moorish movement is an anti-government. Yeah, the Moorish movement is a domestic terrorist. Man, they're dangerous. They're violent. They kill. They don't respect law. They think, we got to put that out there. Because they're now rising. Mm-hmm. We can't let them rise. They're rising now. All these young brothers and sisters becoming conscious. They're rising now. We got to put this negative report out there. They're rising now. They're the true heirs. We can't let them know that they're the true heirs.
I got I'm back over here on page. Let's see. I'm back on page 6 for the top portion of that.
On
says
report,
grand jury verdict for the police officer involved in shooting death of Brown. He previously discussed a desire to kill the white St. Louis County prosecutor and the white Ferguson police chief who were involved in Brown's case, according to the FBI information. Additionally, the subject had ties to the BIE group that had discussed ambushing police. Furthermore, the subject had ties to the sovereign citizen movement. Now, what is it? It is impossible for there to be a sovereign citizen. How you can be a king and a subject at the same time?
All right,
that's
so
amazing.
Anytime
I hear the word sovereign citizen.
All right, so let's look at this because it's a misrepresentation because let's look at this. The Moorish sovereignty versus sovereign citizen. Now, I have heard, more nationalized Moors claim that they're sovereign. I'm sovereign.
Okay.
We must very clear that is a misrepresentation. The country Morocco is sovereign. You're not going to hear Japanese in Japan say, "I'm sovereign." In Japan, you're not going to hear Chinese in China say, "I'm walking around and say I'm sovereign." China is sovereign. You're going to hear Chinese say China is sovereign. You're going to hear Japanese say Japan is sovereign. You're going to hear English people say England is sovereign. Now, they're not going to be walking around saying that they came from the European freedmen groups. The European, that language, that I am sovereign. That came from European freedmen groups. You can't walk around with the Moorish flag and say, I am sovereign. You already have a pre-existing sovereignty. A pre-existing, before Drew Ali was born, Drew Ali did not establish the Moorish nation. Before Drew Ali, centuries before Drew Ali's birth, you have the establishment of the Moorish nation, the Moorish sovereignty. Now that's currently in the hands of the United States Corporation. So we have to rise where we fell. We can't establish some new nation, some new sovereignty. We have a pre-existing treaty with the United States, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Morocco, and the United States, signed by Muhammad ibn Abdullah in June 1786 and ratified in January 1787. So you're talking about a pre-existing sovereignty that is currently in the hands of the United States Corporation. So why are we walking around saying I am sovereign? There is a misrepresentation. There's something missing in the lessons where you have nationalized Moors that claiming that they're sovereign. No, Morocco is sovereign. Morocco is sovereign. You want to direct the sovereignty to the Morocco. You're carrying the flag and say you're sovereign. No, Morocco is sovereign. So if you're saying that you're sovereign, all right, no problem. Don't call on nobody. That means you're separating yourself from Morocco. You're separating yourself from the Moorish national sovereignty. That you, as yourself, you're saying you yourself is sovereign. No problem. That means don't call on nobody. You get beat up, don't call on nobody. You say you're sovereign. No problem. You say you yourself, don't call on no one. Or is it better to say Morocco is sovereign so you have the protection of the nation? You're not going to have a Japanese say, I am sovereign. They're going to say Japan is sovereign. They want the protection of the nation. I just wanted to clear that up because there's a misconception out there among nationalized Moors. Where they get it from, those European freedmen groups. They didn't get it from Noah Ali. That type of I am sovereign, they didn't get that from there's no, you cannot show me in any Dwali writing where he pushes that. They didn't get that from Dwali. They didn't get that from the Moorish Science Temple. They didn't get that I am sovereign from the Moorish Science Temple from Dwali. They got that from European. They go to the European websites, the European freedmen group. They push that. Give me further. These European freedmen groups, because they went back 25 years ago. They weren't called sovereign citizen movements. They were using the word sovereignty. See, what the European freedmen groups are doing is that they're claiming to be sovereign, but this is not their land. Mm-hmm. You can't. The sovereignty must be identified. Chinese sovereignty, Mexican sovereignty, Japanese sovereignty. Identify the sovereignty. These European freedmen groups are what they're doing is they're trying to maintain control of our birthright. They're claiming that they are the founding fathers of the country. They're pushing the false history. They perpetuate the false history that they have in the textbook that John Jay, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Robert Morris, John Hancock are the founding fathers of the nation. They are not. They perpetuate that at the Independence Hall in Philadelphia. They perpetuate that lie in the Constitution Center at Philadelphia. That's a lie. They're not the founding father of a nation. They did not establish a nation. They usurped a nation, not established. Usurped. They took over a nation by force. What nation is that, Abdullah? The Moorish nation, and which Donald Trump is the head of. Donald Trump is the head of the Moorish nation. Why?
Well,
what makes them that, Abdullah?
Let me ask you a question. What is, because I've been hearing quite a bit of this here going around here lately. What is a white national?
All right. You are. It's. Let me explain. You are. You are.
Okay.
But we wouldn't use white. You would have to say Moorish nationalists because you have to use the white is not the nationality. What white would tie you to? Let me clearly explain this. All right, white nationalists. And I thank you for that because it gives me an opportunity to clarify it. The title white goes back to the Hedjet, Hedjet, which is the white crown of Upper Egypt. Drali said white means purity. Purity means God. God means rule of the land. Where did Drali get that from? Let's put that in the context. Where did Drali makes that statement in the questionnaire? One of the questions. What is white? White means purity. Purity means God. God means rule of the land. Where did Drali get that from? Let's put it in the broader context. The Hedjet, the white crown of Upper Egypt, the sovereign crown of Upper Egypt. So white does mean sovereignty. It's the sovereign crown of Upper Egypt, the white crown. So white nationalists, when you say white, means sovereign. White is sovereign. But you would use Moorish nationalists because white's not a nationality. So that would be it would be the term, would be improper. It's an improper term. You would be, but they're using the definition that the FBI gives it. I put it in historical context. Now let's talk about the negative definition because the FBI doesn't give this definition. I give the FBI gives the definition of white nationalists a hate group, like the skinheads. They'll call the skinheads a white nationalist group, like a hate group, like a racial hate group. But that is improper because they're not white. They're not white, so they're not white nationalists. Someone that looked like Donald Trump is not a white nationalist because they're not the sovereigns. They're claiming the sovereign power when they claim to be white. As Charlie Rose said, whoever defines the language controls the issue. The Europeans continue to control the narrative. We're allowing them to control the narrative. Aryan is a Sanskrit word. It's a Sanskrit word, not German. How are Germans using a Sanskrit word for themselves? It means noble. Aryan means noble in Sanskrit. It's a title. It's a title of high rank and birth. That's what Aryan is. A title. So what they did was they corrupted it and got you thinking it's a hate group. Same with the swastika. Hitler used the swastika. He used it, going clockwise, and that going clockwise is regeneration, not death. Not death. That concept of death, it didn't exist like that. We didn't view it like that. We didn't view death no more. It's regeneration, recyclical. So you have the regenerative power, that's the clockwise, and counterclockwise is the creative power. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, the Trinity. And so you have the concept of the Trinity throughout the world. The creative force, the preserving force, and the regenerative force. So you have the swastika going clockwise, counterclockwise, that creative force, that's Brahma. The swastika going clockwise. But Hitler didn't develop that. Hitler brought in Tibetan monks. And the Tibetan monks translated the Bhagavad Gita into German, the German language. The Bhagavad Gita deals with the ancient mind, science, technology. What the Germans did is took advantage of the teachings of the Tibetan monks and used the teaching for the negative. They used their purpose was to build up human war machines. They used ancient mind science technology and stimulating the minds to build human war machines. And so, because of European social engineering, millions of people throughout the world viewed the swastika going clockwise, which is the regenerative force in nature, as some hate symbol. Yeah, look at that. See, he got the swastika on. Yeah, he's a racist. He's a hater. He don't like black people. He got the swastika on. Yeah, he's a white nationalist. He's a hater. He don't like black people. He's an Aryan. Yeah, see, he belongs to the Aryan nation. See, they're controlling the narrative.
Mm-hmm. I got some of that right here I'm looking at.
And then let's go with the Confederate flag, which is your flag.
Okay.
Let's go. Who watched Black Panther? Black Panther, y'all. What do you do? Wakanda. He had an arm cross, didn't he? That's the Galactic Cross. When you see the Egyptian statues in Egypt, huge statues in Egypt with their arm cross, where they got that from? That's the Galactic Cross. You have the Tropical Cross, which is the Earth Cross, and the Galactic Cross, which is the intersection of the celestial galaxy and the Milky Way. And that intersection of the Galactic Cross and Tropical Cross that forms the double cross, the British flag, St. Andrew's flag, and St. George's flag, uniting the Tropical Cross and the Galactic Cross. For every 25,920 years, you have the union of the tropical intersection of the celestial equator and the galactic equator intersects on the double cross. Once again, they took our science. That's a hate. They're for slavery. They don't like black people, see? They're controlling the narrative. They distort they distort the science, and they control the narrative.
Now, in your new book that's upcoming, you're going to be explaining the symbolism in there.
No, that's in the book. That's already out. That's out already. A Masonic Compass and Square, okay. The one I'm going to be sending you. The Masonic Compass and Square and the connection to timekeeping and measurement. Go to mooresandmasonry.org. That's already in there.
Okay.
That's chapter 3. Chapter 3,
okay.
The Masonic Compass and Square and the connection to timekeeping and measurement.
Okay.
It's already done.
Well, I can't wait to get that. I'm looking forward to getting that book there. Now, and that website again is
mooresandmasonry.org. MOORS, the word and, A-N-D, masonry, MASONRY.org.
mooresandmasonry.org. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all need to get over there to that website after the broadcast and check out the books that Brother Abdul have there. He's got quite a collection of books and very, very important information that we need to take a look at. Now, back to this here report, man. Let's get down in there because what I'm looking at here is still so disturbing to me. I'm down here on page 6 where it says BIEs have historically justified and perpetrated violence against law enforcement, which they perceive now as representative of the institutionalized oppression of African Americans, but had not targeted law enforcement with premeditated violence for nearly 2 decades, leading up to the lethal incidents observed beginning in 2014. BIE violence peaked in 1960s and 70s in response to changing socioeconomic attitudes and treatment of blacks during the civil rights movement. BIE groups such as the Black Liberation Army, which was created in the early 1970s to take up arms for liberation and self-determination of black people in the United States, engaged in murders, bank robberies, kidnapping, racketeering, possession of explosives and weapons, and smuggling. Yeah. You know, this is amazing. And is there anything in this report about the skinheads, the Nazis, the Ku Klux Klan? Anything at all?
No. This is like I said. This is a Moorish Nation sovereign citizen movement we put forward. This is no. Let's qualify something, Tarhaka. Law enforcement. Okay. One, they're not law enforcement. They're not law enforcement. So there's no violation. They're not law enforcement. The sheriff is a sheriff is a constitutional officer. The sheriff is the law enforcing officer. Sheriff is law enforcement. They are private security guards. You've seen your neighborhood. You've seen in your neighborhood all your life. The word police on it. They're not law enforcement. We're speaking constitutional. That's a sovereign citizen interpretation of the Constitution. That's a sovereign citizen interpretation. No, it's not. The sheriff is the law enforcing officer. The sheriff has constitutional authority to deputize sheriff deputies. The sheriff has kept silent. The sheriff should be arresting those cops, those private security guards. The sheriff should be arresting those private security guards, impersonating. They're impersonating an officer. They're impersonating officers, the ones that beat up on our people. The ones that beat up on our people. The ones the bad guys, bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come from you? Bad boys. Don't people. Bad boys. That show. They're not law enforcement. Right. They're impersonating an officer. I mean, I make myself very clear. I will make sure I'm abundantly clear. The sheriff is a constitutional officer.
Elected official.
The only one in the county. The sheriff is the only constitutional officer in the county. Even supersedes federal. The sheriff has more authority, constitutional authority, than FBI agents. One FBI agent is not part of the Constitution. They have no constitutional authority. The sheriff does. What's the problem? The sheriff has kept quiet. Those sheriffs have kept quiet. They have not been enforcing. Those sheriffs throughout the country are not fully exercising their constitutional authority. They should be sheriff deputies riding around. Police is police power. State of emergency. So you have police power is state power, which is state of emergency. So you say police power / state of emergency power. Police power / state of emergency power. So you have peace. The sheriff is not a police officer. The sheriff is a peace officer. PEACE. Peace. Do not call the sheriff a police officer. The sheriff is a peace officer. There's a big difference. Police powers is in time of state of emergency. For instance, the Substitute Bey, they call the governor. They use the title governor, Substitute Bey, PEY, Substitute Bey. Let's say there's a flood, there's a tornado. So the Substitute Bey governor will issue a state of emergency. That's police powers. So the governor, Substitute Bey, has police powers. That's the executive power, state of emergency powers. So a lot of people don't, when they see the word police, they really don't know what that means. They don't know. They've seen the word police all their lives. They don't know what that word police means.
Well, what may be a good idea?
And they call them law enforcement. So I'm going to address this to the Attorney General. We're going to address this to the Attorney. I'm going to address this issue to the Attorney General.
We're going to clarify
about who are law enforcement
and who is not.
And who's not? Who's law enforcement and who's not? Exactly. And that should be. In fact, we can make that a feature article and also a show and so forth. who's law enforcement and who's not. Will the true law enforcement officer please stand up? The sheriff, the sheriff.
That's
all of them
right.
sit your butt down. We're talking Constitution. That's a sovereign citizen interpretation of the Constitution. That's a sovereign citizen interpretation of the Constitution. He's anti-government.
Well,
he's speaking of anti-government stuff. Yeah, Abdullah speaking of anti-government stuff.
Anti-government. Well, the police officers, as they call themselves, and people actually think they all have bonds, and they are private contractors. They are not elected officials. The sheriff runs for office. He's elected by the people. He's a peace officer. You're right.
Right, and the sheriff is an officer, and they're not officers. They're not officers because the sheriff is an officer. The sheriff holds an office. The sheriff is a constitutional officer and is duly elected and sworn in as a constitutional officer. And so those people, those private agents or private companies called municipalities, towns, townships, boroughs, they're private chartered corporations. They have charters, corporate charters established, EST. You see it, EST, you'll see founded or established. And you see them all over the country. Townships, towns, boroughs, and municipalities. Those are the names that they use. And not government at all. They're not city government. They're not municipal government. They're not borough government. They're chartered towns. So will the true white people, Jews, Aryans, Christians, stand up? I'm standing up.
Brother Abdullah, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we can continue. So hold on a moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll listen to Brother Abdullah Bey, our founder and editor-in-chief of the Masonic Gate newspaper, and has written several different books. You can get those books at mooresandmasonry.org. That's mooresandmasonry.org. And after the broadcast, y'all ought to go over there and get you some of those books, the one that he's finished and got available. And we're going to take a little quick break, and when we come back, then we'll continue. Y'all hold your head up a minute.
You don't have to lose your home due to foreclosure. You don't have to worry about child support. You don't have to be in credit card debt. Have no fear. Tarhaka Armana El Bey is here at newdebtelimination.com. Got student loans, child support, mortgages? Contact someone who's got the experience and the knowledge to get you back under God's law. That's Tarhaka Armana El Bey. He's been there, he's done that, and he can prove it. Just give him a call at 904-303-9061. That number again is 904-303-9061. And log on to newdebtelimination.com. That's newdebtelimination.com, and get yourself free. This is Moorish Talk Live 100. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back.
Okay, everybody. CTFO is booming. Get your free website and back office right now. Go to www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's tarhakadebtelimination.org. We're going into the year 2019, and it could never be more exciting. On February the 5th at sundown, we'll be in the year of the pig. That's the money year, and time for you to go into business for yourself. CTFO is booming. Free website and back office. Now, getting a back office usually costs you quite a bit of money. But here you get it absolutely free. You got your own company, And you can make money with CTFO. Products are outstanding. Go to www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. Hi, everyone. This is Tarhaka. My new website is online and visible now at www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's TARHAKADEBTELIMINATION.org. All you have to do is subscribe by putting in your email and click send. I'll rush you my free report. That includes the information you need on big tobacco and how to get paid. Much more. New website is up and running. TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Just subscribe, and I'll rush you my free report, which includes everything that you'll need to know about big tobacco and much more information whereby you can make money. TarhakaDebtElimination.org.
Okay, everybody, we're back. Our special guest, Brother Abdullah Bey, is giving us the breakdown on this stuff and on this Moorish science and what's going on with these police officers and what they're attempting to do and blocking of your nationality and all this stuff. Brother Bey, we back.
Yes.
Still with me? Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, what else do you think is critical for us to know involving this report that you put out, man?
All right. Well, the key to Tarhaka, that's what are we going to do about it? What is our strategy to address it? Because that's very important to have a strategy. And then when I talked about my strategy, and one other point that's made about paper terrorism, a term referring to the act of filing bogus legal actions against government officials. So you have a lawsuit that you file against someone who's claiming to be government official, and you file a lawsuit against them to address the issue of a right that was lost, and they would call that paper terrorists. In fact, Anna Eid and Tarhaka Bey in 2011 were referred to as paper terrorists. So that's another issue that we need to address in this report. So we talked about the identification being referred to as fake identifications. So that's another major issue. Selling false legal documents and committing large-scale financial fraud is a principal source of income for the Moorish nation. I'm reading directly from the reports. I actually took out some of the quotes that's in this report. So so my strategy is to use the newspaper, though it's going to be printed as well as electronic, like the PDF form, and to write an open letter, and I'll CC it, and then develop a website where people can actually have petitioners, and they can actually sign as petitioners on it. So I can have an open letter, and then structure the open letter into a form of a petition. That's my strategy. And we've been talking about signatories throughout the country. So I'm setting up distribution electronically as well as the actual paper, the physical paper, throughout the country and also outside the country.
Okay.
Where we make this a major issue. We address this majorly, not something we done haphazardly, like by the way. No, it's something that we put great attention on, so we can stop it. We have to stop it. We got to put an end to this because we cannot.
Well, how would I go about signing that petition?
Well, it's not up yet. This is something that. Yes, this is actually something that I decided to do about 2 weeks ago. I decided to put the paperback out 3 weeks ago. I was going to do it in 3 months. So I decided to do it sooner, 3 weeks ago. And I want to thank those who sent donations to me, that I was able to print 50,000 copies. So this was, and I was able to do this within the period of 2.5 weeks. In the period of 2.5 weeks, I made the decision. Won't call people. And here we go. We're gonna be rocking and rolling. And then and then so it was like, wow, I need to do an open letter. Then I need to do a petition. Then I'm like, wow, we need to do a website that's dedicated to this, like a campaign. Like I said, petition. So we're gonna, that's something that we're gonna do. There'll be a website just dedicated to that, and people can go and sign.
Okay.
But where it becomes. Yep.
I commend you on your actions and your efforts, man. You're hard working, brother. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Yes, and as I said before, we cannot allow this to continue where nationalized Moors are afraid to be themselves. Or and they're intimidating, using this negative propaganda to intimidate nationalized Moors and denationalized Moors. The view is by giving a negative view of our Moorish nationality, our Moorish birthright, and our Moorish national sovereignty as a domestic terrorist and anti-government group, and activities. By declaring our Moorish nationality and putting in, the Moorish name declaration and our Moorish nationality card as fake documents. We have to address this. With the Attorney General office, we have to address this. And I'll CC it to Donald Trump, CC it to Director of Homeland Security, Secretary of Homeland Security, Secretary of the Interior, head of CIA, head of FBI, head of Homeland Security.
Okay. Now, this what I want to do is this report. As people request my free report involving commerce, I send that to them. They go in to my website and they sign up, and I send that straight to them. I would like to include that letter, that report, as an attachment onto that. What you think about that?
You got the report. I'm going to reference the report in the letter. So this is a this is a 21-page report, and then you also have the other report that we got. Black identity extremists likely motivated to target law enforcement officers, because they have reference to nationalized Moors in that report. Mm-hmm. So these are long reports. Okay. So I would point out certain points in this report. Like these referring to our nationality card as fake documents. Our Moorish documentation as fake documents. Our nationality card as fake IDs. In addressing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And looking at the enforcement of the rights of indigenous people, the United Nations rights of the indigenous people, the American the American Organization of the American State, because the Organization of the American State has a rights of indigenous people too. So you have that as well. You have the United Nations Rights Proclamation for Article 15, Section 1 and 2, and United Nations Declaration of Rights of the Child. So we're looking for the full enforcement of those international treaties.
Well, let me ask you something. Now, when you declared your nationality, where did you file your documents with? Your declaration?
Well, at that time, it was 1993. My job, the bank, a job, bank. It was my schools that I graduated from: Rutgers University, Graduate School of Social Work, Glasgow State College. I had a car at the time. The car, bank. My car company where I got my car from. All right, and so that all my names that I can through my free national name would be transferred over to all those documents.
Okay. We're winding down, brother. And if you got something else very, very important that you want to that we didn't cover here,
yes,
you
I
want to
do.
let us have it. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm going to read the. This is the title of the feature article, or one of the feature articles of the Masonic Gate, next issue of the Masonic Gate. The European. This is my article. European Masons. Knight and the United States Corporation Colonial Power. The continued European crusades and Spanish Inquisition against the Moors. The stolen legacy of the Moorish estate and the land in the hands of the European Masons and Knights. Reclaiming our Moorish imperial divan, our Moorish fairs, our Moorish titles, noble imperial potentate, sovereign grand commander, royal monarch, Abdullah Bey, excerpts from Moors and Masonry. Then I have this on the front cover. I have the logo that the Shriners use, the logo that the Scottish Rites use, the logo that the Grottos use, the logo that the Eastern Stars use. Then I have the logo that the Knights Templar use, Knights of Malta, Knights of St. Stephen's, Order of Christ. Then I have the artwork. A brother did this artwork for me, Moors fighting European Knights. And a picture of Albert Pike. Albert Pike was elected Sovereign Grand Commander of the Scottish Rites Sovereign Jurisdiction in 1859. He also wrote Morals and Dogma of the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite Freemasonry in 1871. Why am I taking this? Because I want to draw Masons Eastern Stars. I want to draw in tens of thousands of Masons Eastern Stars. This is what they identify with. Now I have here, I'm going to have pictures of Europeans wearing our Moorish fairs. Who are these imposters wearing the Moorish fairs? The Moorish sovereign royal crown of rulership. Then I have, and then you have people can look this up. The Monument of the Four Moors. The Monument of the Four Moors commemorates Fernando I de Medici. The Medici family was a banking family. The Grand Duke of Tuscany, victory over the Moors in 1607. The monument is made up of a marble statue of Fernando I, completed in 1599, and of 4 colossal Moors bound in chains, completed in 1626. Comissimo I de Medici created the Knights of St. Stephen's in 1561 as a military order to fight against the Moors. Let me read this here. Since 1789, presidents of the United States have been wearing both the Moorish fairs and pilgrim hat, and they have been sitting in the position of the Moorish Grand Vizier. Today, President Donald Trump wears the Moorish fairs and the pilgrim hat. He is president of the United States Corporation and sits in the Moorish Oval Office and functions the office of the Moorish Grand Vizier. The word pilgrim is derived from the Latin peregrinus, meaning foreigner, stranger. The descendants of European settlers on Moorish land, falsely known as United States, who have been falsely claiming to be white people, and free white people, are all pilgrims. White is a reference to the white crown of Upper Egypt, known as the Hejjet. When the descendants of European settlers falsely claim to be white, they are claiming to be the sovereigns of the land. These descendants of European settlers are in fact of English, Irish, Scottish, French, Dutch, Danish, Swedish, German, Italian, Russian nationality, national origin, descent, ancestry. These Europeans have been falsely claimed to be Americans. The 1828 edition of Webster's Dictionary defines American as a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginal or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. That's a correct quote. The same edition added a distorted meaning to the definition of American, by defining the descendants of European settlers as Americans. The other part of the definition for American is, but now applies to descendants of European settlers, Europeans born in America. Keep in mind that the first part of the definition for American is a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginal or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans. Aboriginal is defined as the descendants from the original inhabitants of the land. How could the descendants of Europeans of English, Irish, Scottish, French, Dutch, Danish, Swedish, German, Italian, Russian, nationality, national origin, descent, ancestry, ever become the descendants of the Aboriginal and Native people of the land. This is a clear act of birthright and identity theft. That's part of the article. This is part of, it's a long article, and that's one of the articles. That's my article. Taj's article is titled "The Moorish Nationality, Moorish Birthright, Moorish National Sovereignty," which the title of this presentation tonight is Taj's article of the newspaper article. Moorish Nationality, Moorish Birthright, Moorish National Sovereignty, misrepresented as a sovereign citizen movement, anti-government, and domestic terrorism. Domestic terrorism. That's the title of Taj's article. Tarhaka Bey.
Now you got the
right?
you got that article in your newspaper.
No, it's going to be. I'm going to be picking that up from Taj between the next couple of days. That's going to be in our newspaper. This article I just read is in my newspaper. It'll be in the next issue. I just came from I'm reading from my computer. Reading from my computer.
Okay.
Right. This is excerpts from more and stuff I added. I had to make some connections here.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
an excerpt for the article.
Okay. You got something else already wrote up?
Oh, I got this is some of this excerpt. I have the list of shrine temples. It's going to be in the article. 206 shrine temples with Moorish names. You'll see the Moorish names. And I have the list of the grotto temples, which is 150 grottos temple. And let me read this. The long history. This is in Moors and Masonry, and I'm reading. This is an excerpt from Moors and Masonry. It's going to be in the article. The long. This is also the Masonic Compass Square book in Chapter 1. The long history of battles, diplomacy, letters, treaties, captivity, ransom payments, and the seizing of European ships between the Moors and Europeans have been preserved by the European Masons, by the European Masonic and Knight orders. The European Shriners and Grottos have annual parades celebrating their defeat of the Moors. They also don the Moorish royal crown of rulership known as the Fez, symbolizing that they now exercise the Moorish sovereign power. You will also notice that the Moorish names when looking at the Moorish Fez were worn by European Shriners and Grottos. These are the Moorish names the European Shriners and Grottos have adopted for the names of their temples. Today, European Knight orders function as charity institutions. The origin of their military purpose and battles against the Moors is not yet known to the general public. The main Knight orders that were formed during the Crusades to fight against the Moors and Turks are Knights of Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, 1099, Knights of St. John's of Jerusalem, 1113, Knights Templar, 1119, Knights of Calatrava, 1158, Orders of Santiago, 1170, also known as the Order of St. James of the Sword, Knights of Alcantara, 1166, and the Order of Montesa, 1317, a very popular order today. The very popular order today, the Knights of St. John's of Jerusalem, renamed the Order of Hospitaller and later the Knights of Rhodes, currently known as the Knights of Malta, has 13,500 knights and dames as members of its order. Another famous knight order, the military order of Christ, Ordem Mater de Cristo, previously known the Order of Knights of Our Lord Jesus Christ, was founded in 1319 with the protection of Portuguese King Denis I. Denis I revived the Knights Templar as the Order of Christ. Comissimo de Medici, first Grand Duke of Tuscany, created the Knights of St. Stephen's in 1061 as a military order to fight against the Moors. Today, the Knight orders function as charity orders, but their origin extends back to their battles with the Moors. The history of why they were established is not known to the general public. The Ku Klux Klan is a Knight order that was founded in Pulaski, Tennessee on December 24th, 1865. I'm going to read this quote. John Armstrong Crew, in his book, The Root and the Flower, an interpretation of Spain and the Spanish states. Quote, in the 12th century, several military orders were organized in Spain to help carry on the fight against the Moors. These orders were all established on a religious as well as a military basis, following the indication of St. James, Moor Slayer, himself. The church did not originally look with favor on holy men taking arms, but with the invasion of Moorish Almoravids, those vowed to God, in 1086, the blending of religious and war among the Moors was again brought to the attention of Spanish Christians who could not help realizing the effectiveness of the idea. Holy war, therefore, became a mission of the church militant. Among these orders were the Knights of Santiago, Calatrava, and Alcantara, and the Knights Templar and the Hospitallers. All right? I'm kicking butt here. We have to bring the history to life. We have to show that because we are at a grave disadvantage because we don't know this. We don't know the true history. We're operating on a false fictional history. So we're not in a mental position to claim our birthright. So this is I come up, so I'm just being, I got a lot of stuff. It's like these are excerpts from Moors and Masonry, the Masonic Conference Square book. I have a list of books in here, so I'm very detailed.
Well, I tell you
very
what, brother,
detailed.
you sure got a quite a bit of materials, and I really think that everybody should get a hold of this stuff here. And this report is very important. We need to look at it and look at what's going on with it. And what I was saying that I want to, a lot of times they'll send me stuff for my free report, and I would like to add this as an attachment to make sure that it goes out to everyone that requests my free reports on comments and stuff. And I add that on. And send that along with everything else that I send. Because I send two attachments, and I can add this as a third. This is, I haven't finished reading it yet, but I'm going to go and see, how far they have gone to distort the truth and how they have want to try to lead the world. I see we got somebody with his hand raised at area code 314. I'm going to open up the line. Area code 314, you on the air. What's your question and comment? Tell us who you are, where you calling from.
Well, hello, son. This is Pianki.
Hey, Pianki. Come on in.
Now, I always ask some profound questions.
Peace, brother.
How you doing?
That's Brother Abdullah.
And I understand what you're saying. But see, here's the point. Tarhaka, our deity forbid was against mixing. Amun was. And he forbid mixing. And the mixing was not with the Europeans because they had not came into the land at the time. He was forbid mixing with people that look like many what we call Black American today. It was ethnocentric societies. I mean, it's present in the Bible. Do not give your daughters to their sons, your sons to their daughters. And those of a union like that was considered as a bastard. Now, let me tell you what I experienced. In University City, Missouri, which is right outside St. Louis, a member of the St. Louis chapter of the National Black United Front was attempting to help put African-centered curriculum in their school district.
Okay.
And we had a hearing or information session in the auditorium. It actually was a lunchroom, but it was, several hundred people, youth that was sitting there. Some of the youth stood up and said, I want to know both sides of my history because they was considered black, but they was mixed.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the reality.
Okay.
So, where do you come up? How do you allow for that reality? After all, Muhammad Ali went to Ireland to find the Irish side of his bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the reality today. Black Americans could not go to, for a better recognition of the place, Ghana, into the Akan society, which includes the Ashanti. They could not become a paramount chief. For the simple reason is that they are mixed. You remember Jerry Rawlings, who was the president, national president of Ghana? He was a flight lieutenant. You remember him?
No, I don't personally. What about you, Abdullah?
No, I'm not aware of him.
Jerry Rawlings was the president of Ghana, national president. He couldn't become a paramount chief because his mother was Ghanaian and his father, well, I think his father was Irish too. I'm not sure. But he wasn't the product of a Ghanaian mother and father. So, Abdul, I just wanted to bring that out because now at this present time in 2019, who we calling and trying to label as being Pacific, really, when you lay it down on the table, it's just not Pacific anymore. These people have many different traits to them. But the history to know is good to know. But to affiliate someone and tie them into being a Pacific ethnic group that existed back generations is kind of difficult to do, if literally impossible.
Well, now, you know,
all right.
Dr.
Tarhaka, can I respond, Tarhaka?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. In J. Rogers' book, Nature Knows No Color Line, Chapter 6, The Negro as Moor, European Ancestry, and he displays the coat of arms of European aristocratic families, crests, over 100 crests and coat of arms, and there's many others online of Moors, dark olive Moors, and a coat of arms and European families. So that's the Moorish bloodline all throughout Europe. And there are variations. This is in J. Rogers' book, Chapter 6, the variations of names Moor in European languages used in European families. In Scotland, Moor, M-U-I-R. In Ireland, Morda. In Germany, Moor, M-H-R, M-O-H-R, Moringer. In Italian, Morita, Morini, Morali. In England, Moors, M-O-O-R-E-S, M-O-O-R, M-O-R-E-S, M-O-R-E. In French, Lamar, Lamarck, Martel, Maric. You have Maurice, Maras, Marsh. So there's about over 150, about 50 names that Europeans use as their family names derived from Moor. Then you have here Dave McRitchie's book. Dave McRitchie's book titled, I have it right here, Ancient and Modern Britain, volumes 1 and 2, and he's one of the most famous Irish clan is Douglas, the Douglas clan. Douglas, Dublin means dark. So the original people of Ireland. So Muhammad Ali, when he was going to Ireland, when he went to Ireland, as you said, was actually tracing his Moorish bloodline. He wasn't tracing his Irish bloodline. He was tracing his Moorish bloodline. The Aboriginal people of Ireland are Moors.
Mm-hmm. Now, wait a minute. Now, Muhammad Ali never said that, but I understand what you're trying to say.
No,
I'm
saying, based on what you were saying, Muhammad Ali was tracing his Irish roots. It was actually his Moorish roots. It's not the original people of Ireland are Moors. they're dark. You have even in Sweden, you have the Moorish dance in Sweden. That's the Moorish bloodline all throughout Europe. There's another book titled by Ivan Sertimer, edited by Ivan Sertimer, African Presence in Early Europe, and there's a compilation about 20 different articles where he outlines the indigenous people of Europe, blacks in Athena, Black Athena by Martin Varnell, volumes 1, 2, and 3. You have blacks.
Well, yeah, I got many of the books that you have said, but what I'm saying is this: that even though Muhammad Ali, as you say, might have been searching out his Moorish side, but he also have a white Irish side that's also involved with it too. I mean, that's just the fact.
No, what I'm saying is, if they're Moorish,
and I understand what you're saying.
They're Moorish. They're Moorish.
Well, but if they're Moors, you can say that they're Moors, but they also have a European side to their biological makeup. Also, it's just like we're saying here. We want reparations. Okay, reparations for Africans that was brought here, disregarding why they was brought here and what caused them to be here. All right, if you get 100% of $100. But if you come down and look at your biological makeup, you may not end up getting but $20 of the $100 that they would give if you was 100%. And that's something that people don't consider. But anyway, I'm not here to get into an argument. I just wanted to add that. And I'm going to finish eating.
All right, thank you, brother.
All right.
All right, I appreciate you, Brother Pianki. I was listening to Dr. Walter Williams. I know you're familiar with Dr. Walter Williams, brother. Dr. Walter Williams states that the word Moor is a nickname for the Egyptians. What are your take on that?
You said the word Moor is?
Yeah, it was a nickname given to the ancient Egyptians, and I'm because everything is just not the same everywhere, and I know that there's a lot of history, a lot of overlapping history and stuff. But I do remember doing my research of the Egyptians, and I paid close attention to their sciences, and I looked at the different sciences, and I looked at what they would bring, the different places that they would go to, traveling across the country, and I looked at other African kings and stuff, and they all seemed to have the same science. And then when I heard about the Moors, the first thing I wanted to do, I wanted to know where they was, where did they go, and what sciences did they have? Did they have any sciences? And based on what I see in the research that I ran into, it seems to be identical, the same types of sciences. So I guess the sciences go all the way back to the probably around the beginning of time, because whatever it is that's working for you, that's what you're going to use. So I just wanted to bring that point out and get your opinion on that from Dr. Walter Williams, stating that the word Moor is a nickname that was given to the ancient Egyptians.
I have never seen any documentation that the Walter Williams has any documentary evidence of where he got that from.
Wrote two books. He wrote a book called The Historical Origins of Christianity and the Historical Origins of Islam. Yeah. But he's on my show once a month. He'll be on at the end of this month, which will be the 28th. And the 28th, the last Sunday of each month, he and I'll get together. And this time we're going to be discussing the myth of the Dead Sea Scrolls explained. This will be our topic this Sunday coming up, this last Sunday this month coming up. If you want to get in on that discussion with us, we'd love to have you, man. And we can get on here with us and discuss some of this stuff. We're down to 14 minutes. What else that you want to lay on us, man, before we close?
All right, I have the second article that I have in my, which is excerpt from the Masonic Compass and Square and the connection to timekeeping and measurement. This article is titled. It's going to be the Masonic Gate paper. The astronomical origin of the two solar pillars of Boaz and Jachin, St. John's Day and Eastern Star. Excerpt from the Masonic Compass Square and the connection to timekeeping and measurement. Abdullah Bey. Let's see here. The point within the circle. The point within the circle that's what's called the Masonic orders. And the point within the circle, as referred to in Masonic orders, is emblematic of the preservation of ancient astronomical knowledge of solar observatories designed to determine and mark the summer solstice and winter solstice. According to the article entitled Old Europe Culture, Hinges, Rondel Enclosures, there are between 120 to 150 sunstone circles in Europe. Stonehenge in Wiltshire, England, is the most researched and studied sunstone circle in Europe. The sunstone circles, point within the circle, and Newgrange and Bargova, Gumno, have also been written about extensively. At the summer solstice on June 21st, the sun rises in the northeast and sets in the northwest, while at the winter solstice on June 21st, the sun rises in the southeast and sets in the southwest. Another section here.
Now
the image
coming at you.
above displayed. Yeah, this is in the Masonic Compass Square book, but that's also being. I'm using excerpts. I'm putting excerpts in the newspaper.
Okay.
So this is going to be in the Masonic Gate. Yeah,
all right.
But it's also, this is directly coming from the book. It's directly excerpts from the Masonic Compass Square book. So I'm just using excerpts. The image above displays. This is the image. This is the image of the image of the winter solstice, equinox, and summer solstice sun. The four seasons, representing the four seasons. The image above displays the positions of the sun during the winter solstice, vernal equinox, autumnal equinox, and summer equinox. Summer solstice. The winter solstice sun reaches its lowest point of declination on June 21st before reversing his course from the south to the north. This astronomical phenomenon is known as Jesus dying on the cross and the crucified Savior. This story is rooted in the ancient astronomical knowledge of the sun's lowest point of declination, or the sun's most suddenly extreme position. Sunstone circles, or sun wheels, were built throughout the world thousands of years ago to mark both the sun's most northern extremes, summer solstice, June 21st, and the most southern extreme, winter solstice, September 23rd.
And with that reminds me of the Southern Crux.
December. Yes, winter solstice. Yes, winter solstice, December 20. The two solar pillars of Boaz and Jachin, as they are called in Masonic orders, are emblematic of the pillars and the sunstone circles and the sun wheels throughout the world. On December 25th, known to the world as Christmas, the sun is born or reborn after apparently being still for 3 days. December 22nd, 23rd, and December 24th, this period of 3 days is referred to as Jesus lying in a tomb for 3 days. Many have retooled their astronomical story using the names of other crucified saviors. Some of those names are listed in the box below. Well, that's in the book, and that's in the book. So I'll actually put this. I'll put the names in the paper too, box below. So
That's an excellent description of that Southern Crux. I was watching it to explain that on the Net Guys, and I have Percy Graves' book, the 16 Crucified Saviors. I have his Savior. Work. And quite a few, the historical origins of the mythological, historical Jesus, mythological Christ. Yeah, I got that. I got quite a bit of that stuff, and I've studied it. It's been a long time since I studied. I had to move on to something different. But you can see how they concocted all of this stuff. And I look at the religion and the time period that the religions came into existence during the age of Pisces. It seemed all fit in like a bunch of nuts in a basket. They all fit right in that time frame. I'm not a religious man. I do study spiritualism, and I try to deal with what I know for a fact and I can prove and put down on the table. But when it comes to belief, it is amazing, what people believe a lot of times when they have absolutely no facts. It's just, to me, it's a phenomenon. A lot of them cannot hold a conversation without bringing in some form of religion. But nevertheless, I try not to get deep down, get all down up in there. But we got 8 minutes, brother. What else you gonna lay on us?
All right. Yeah. So I'm looking at. So let's recap. It's 8 minutes.
Okay.
Let's recap some major points that were discussed tonight. We said that it's crucial that we first, as Drew Ali said, is bring our people back into the Constitution for the government. We don't want it. We don't. It's important that we do not give legitimacy to the civil death, black. That our people. We don't want. It's important that we don't mislead. In the conversation, in the talking to the Attorney General or FBI, CIA, that our people who are classified as black have rights. We want to be very clear in addressing the Attorney General that we are legally, bringing our people into the Constitution for the government, something that the United States Colonial Corporation is not doing. All right? Drew Ali said it's a sin for any group of people. So let's look at this and recapping. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family, bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classified as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. Black, Negro, colored. That's it. That's the inferior names. Black, Negro, colored. And it is a sin, meaning that when he used the word sin, because sin comes from it's the Sumerian name for the moon. But he's using the word sin connotatively. He's using the word sin here to emphasize the point that it's a grave violation. A grave violation. All right, so let's substitute. It's a sin, a grave violation for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and claim to names, black, Negro, colored, claim the names and principle that deluded slavery. That's black, Negro, colored. So Drew Ali addressed this issue. He addressed the issue of the civil death of our people. So this is what I'm saying here. And we follow Drew Ali. Drew Ali himself was making a very poignant point that our people have no rights as they claim the names, they elude the slavery. They have no rights in that. So we have to be very clear that those who our people are classified as black, Negro, colored have no rights. There's no violation of rights. We can't make the argument that our people's rights are being violated. We can't say that. We cannot say that our people's rights are being violated. We would be wrong. We would be absolutely wrong. Drew Ali, here we go. Let's follow Drew Ali. We would be absolutely wrong to say that the Europeans are violating our people's rights. I will never say that. I will never say that the Europeans have violated our people's rights. I would never say that. I would never say that. And Drew Ali didn't say that. Drew Ali never said that. He said that that we're the ones that's in violation. So Drew Ali was doing was getting our house in order. Let's first get our house in order. Let's first bring our people back into the constitutional fold of government. Come on, ye Asiatics or North America, and learn the truth about your nationality and birthright. You're not Negro, colored, black, or Ethiopian. Come and link yourself back to the family of nations. This is how it's done. So the United States corporation is using every effort. They're using negative propaganda to instill fear in nationalized Moors and denationalized Moors. These Moors who are proclaiming their Moorish nationality, the United States, the FBI, with this counterintelligence, either using the counterintelligence surveillance, counterterrorism. So they're viewing our activity. What activity is they're viewing our bringing up, nationalizing our people, bringing them back into the constitutional fold of government, bringing them back into human rights so they can have human rights protection, treaty and constitution. They're viewing that act as counter-terrorism. They have when they're doing the surveillance. We're under surveillance. FBI, why are we under surveillance? Why are we under surveillance? We want them to answer that. We want them to answer that. We're going to do an open letter. Why are we under surveillance? Why are our actions
proclaiming our
surveillance?
nationality?
A counter-terrorist report. Why are we part of the counter-terrorist report? We have to address this seriously. And I'll be the one to take a lead on it. So be it. We got to address this.
All right, my brother. Well, I tell you what, I certainly appreciate you being here and dispensing this information that you did tonight. I thank you so much, and I look forward to you being with us on the end of the last Sunday of this month. Me and Dr. Walter Williams will be on. And if you could get in there with us,
we'll talk about
send
that.
you an email.
Because I have my daughter on Sundays, but I'll see how I can work Sunday. I'll get her on Saturday. But we'll talk about that.
Okay.
The last Sunday
anyway.
This month, we can talk about that. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close it down, and I certainly appreciate you being here, man. And
thank you.
Next time.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain this report and my strategy. Because I said let's look at this. Because it's one thing to have the report. What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
That's right.
So you got to have a strategy. How are we going to address this report? You have to have a strategy. Just having it in my possession ain't good enough. We have to address it.
Well, anyway, we know you. We can count on you. There's no doubt about that, because you are a very, very busy man. But I'm gonna shut it down, and I'll say I thank you again, brother, for being on the broadcast.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Take your peace.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've been your host, Tarhaka, Montel Bey, and until next time, y'all have a good evening.
If you party hardy and you make the scene, if you got a Jones for a limousine, forget your worries and the way things are. Spend the day in the life of a superstar. You get the news, he's number one in rhythm and blues. From record to record, he tops the sheet, and the other stars cannot compete. To hit the notes that are so high, the men just stare and the women cry. They come to see him from near and far, the man they made a superstar.
cars, spends all of his days among the stars. And when he's got to cool out and chill, got a brand new house on the top of the hill. So one of a kind, not even two, push buttons down with an ocean view. And every room's got a new TV, and every dog's got a pedigree. In the life of a star. Star life. Living every day in the life of a star. Star life. If you party hardy and you make the scene, if you got a Jones for